Hi everybody, welcome to the live stream that's coming to you from RSAC here in San Francisco, California, 2025. We're having a great time at the conference this year. Kind of feels like we're back to full force, our RSAC that I remember. It's really a pretty amazing stuff. This is a segment we're calling the Analyst Arc, and we're getting three of us together, my two colleagues and myself.
Yep.
Krista Case, who covers data protection, identity management, all kinds of great things, security, right?
Yeah.
And Fernando Montenegro,
Thank you.
who covers cloud security, cybersecurity,
Yeah, more broadly, yeah.
many areas. And then I contribute on the kind of software security side.
You are too kind. You are a leading force on the software security
Well, you know,
side.
we all are leading forces in our.
Yes.
That's what's good. Is that it's a nice triumvirate.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
good things. So one of the things we want to try to do in our conversation is help folks get a sense of what we're getting a sense of, right? So this first segment we're calling the vibe. Like,
Yep.
what's the vibe? What are you picking up today? It may be a continuation of what you saw yesterday. It may be like, oh, you know, I'm kind of sensing a little different thing going on here. You know,
Ladies first.
okay.
Sorry.
You know he's going to call on you. He does the ladies first. So
That is very true. Very, very true. So yesterday, you know, I kind of talked about the need for cyber resiliency. I spent a lot of time a couple of days ago with some of the storage and data protection companies. Yesterday, from my end, was a little bit more on the identity side. You know, Mitch, as you referenced, that's an area that I'm covering. This is sort of my RSA debut on the identity side. So there's been a lot of conversations around kind of the ability to create this platform for identity security, you know, so we're seeing companies start to kind of stitch together privilege access management with identity and access governance, for example, to be able to, you know, escalate and de-escalate privileges in real time as needed, and really kind of have oversight and control over that whole process. Obviously, we have to start thinking, you know, much far beyond human identities. We need to expand on the machine side, and now we have that whole agentic AI.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Time to agentic
Bing, bing,
was-
bing.
I threw the agentic in there as well,
Thank
just
you.
for you, Fernando.
Thank
just
you.
for
I appreciate it.
And then we have these agents now coming in and kind of mucking up the whole thing, right? Because they kind of bridge the gap almost. They act a little bit like humans, but they have many qualities of machines, including needing to be managed at massive scale.
So you've seen
that's-
momentum around identity of agents themselves and that coming along?
It's a topic, right?
Okay.
I think we're still getting there, but the sense that I'm getting is the vendors are getting questions from customers, right? About, okay, it's a reality that we are ultimately going to have some of these AI agents playing an important role
Yeah.
in our business processes. And so what are some of the new security implications that are being created as a result, and how do we start thinking about addressing them to get ahead of it?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
We had the chance to go to do
Yes.
some meetings together, so I also learned a little bit about identity. And one of the things on the identity side that I like, that it's interesting, the NHI stuff, the non-humans, it's interesting and ties to software security, because it seems that NHI is kind of riding two waves, right? The first, we were kind of already talking about workload identities and whatnot when we were talking about like service accounts, and then we started the microservices path, right? And now it sort of picks up on the agentic side, so it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And Krista knows her stuff, so it was nice to follow her on this. Some of the stuff that I was looking at is we were talking to a lot of vendors, again, security platforms, a little bit more on the security operations side, right? And one of the defining, as we look at the market, like at how people, and we have data on this now, like, sorry I can't quote from memory, but we just released some survey data where there is a preponderance of respondents indicating that, yeah, we want to consolidate, we want to reduce the number of vendors and so on and so forth. And what's somewhat consistent between the vendors that are picking up on that consolidation, one of the things that's really interesting is that many of them have a security operations component to those platforms, right? So one of the things I'm going to be watching is how do other platforms that don't necessarily have a security component, a security operations component to them. Do they build? Do they buy? Right. So that ties. We were talking about the trends. Yep,
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
I was just nodding a lot, and it goes back to the platform conversation that we were having here in this segment
Right.
yesterday.
Yeah.
And build, buy, or even have extensibility to be able to integrate with, a SIM platform, for example, or XDR.
Yeah. And I like to talk about the dimension that it's not the platform best of breed, it's a platform versus a point product. The other dimension is best of breed versus good enough. There is yet a third dimension we don't often talk about, which is, do we do it ourselves or do we bring in a trusted partner? And I was having a conversation just at breakfast today with someone else, adding a dimension of the where the customer journey is, right? If you're a smaller organization, you're going to focus more on one type of delivery, one type of capability. Whereas if you're a much larger company, you may have already built some of those capabilities, but now from an economics perspective, sorry for the hands,
That's
you
how
are
you
now offloading some of that to a services partner, right? So fascinating conversations. Like, this industry is maturing, it's growing, it's getting better right before our eyes. Sorry, I got excited.
No, hey, absolutely. Something I've kind of been thinking about, and I'm starting to see the evolution of, is AI in our space, and also in other products and technologies, is going through this phase of kind of bolt-on, where it's not really part of the product, but it's there, it's a chatbot, it's a whatever, built in, and there it seems where we're kind of entering and getting into that phase of how do we build in more AI into the technology, into the workflows, into whatever it might be, or securing AI. And I don't know that we're here yet, but it's like AI designed for AI or with AI is the next phase. I don't know if you're seeing that yet, but I'm people talking about inklings of it that sound like that, but I think we're still very much of that. Let's really start to get value from AI, not just featureitis, but what does it do for us, which is kind of this built-in phase.
So picking up on that just for a second, I had a conversation with a platform vendor. We were there together, right? And one of the things that they were very clear on is that, oh, look, we've built this platform with machine learning and AI from the ground up, right? And it shows that they have efficiencies in some areas and so on. So yeah, absolutely. When I came here this week, I said that, telling myself that my mission is to discern between basically three types of AI. Somebody has an AI message. They probably fit into one or three buckets, right? Hey, we are just AI washing, right? To your point, it's something marginally tangential to AI. Oh, we are AI this. Fine, there are some of those, right? Then the people who are saying, look, we are here to use AI in our products, or we're here to support how you as a customer, you are using AI, right? And to that extent, I think if I had to say, the one big news I would call out that it came out on Monday, right, is when Palo Alto announced the Protect AI position, right? So I would, if I had to pick one deal for the week kind of thing, I think it would probably be that one. But exactly to your point, where does AI fit and what are we doing? And yes.
Another big part is over and over, data, right? Like, kind of, why are we doing all this, right? It's application security, yes, it's XDR, yes, infrastructure, but it's really about data. That's what we're trying to both utilize, contextualize for AI, and also, of course, protect, right? I can't lose that stuff.
Yep, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your AI models are only as good as the data, right, that they're being trained on to start with. And then the second component is being able to, keep your data secure, throughout your usage of AI. So, last year it was a lot about, okay, if I'm using an AI application, can I potentially access sensitive data that I'm not supposed to have access to? And I think this year it's been, kind of an evolution of that conversation around some of the new attack vectors that AI is creating. So absolutely, I would say data security and privacy at the end of the day is really at the heart of it. I would say another component of the equation is the kind of compliance side of the house, right? So this is all happening so fast that we're still developing best practices and industry standards, and so I think the implication on the tools and processes that are needed for data security and privacy in this world of AI are still, being learned almost in real time. We're almost, building the airplane as we're trying to fly it, so to speak.
Yeah, considering many of us are going in airplanes right now, I'm not sure I like the analogy, but that's
Fair
okay.
enough, fair enough.
I'll give you another analogy that I thought of this morning, and that was we're at this stage of the CEOs of the world are funding quests. They're funding exploration into the new world of AI, right? Kind of back to the Magellans and back to the, discovering the Americas, where people are putting money, betting money on AI and funding people, teams, boats, ships, weapons, all the things we need, navigation systems, whatever it takes to go. We don't know what it is we're going to discover. We're trying to figure out what to do with AI and what its real benefits could be and will be, but we're funding those things. And then the USMs of the world are the folks on the ships saying, all right, we're headed this way, compass is pointing there. We think we're going to end up in India, but we're not sure. And we'll discover what we discover. And that's kind of the journey that we're on, right? There are things we know we want to be able to use AI for, but there's a lot we're not sure about AI, either how to get there or what we might use it for. So, we all use the airplane analogy while we're flying it. I think that also works as a kind of applicable metaphor for this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That being said, let's continue with the discovery analysis, right?
Great.
While we're doing all of this discovery while we're sailing towards unknown waters with AI, right? Those ships that we've built, they also have to protect against pirates. So they also
can't burn down while we're on it.
Yes.
They can't burn down. They have to be protected against pirates.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have to. As they stop at ports to buy supplies, they have to have the funds to do that, right? So there's a sustainability aspect to that. But what I'm picking up on a lot is the conversation, and you're absolutely right on the use of data, but the data and the AI conversations also give cybersecurity as a whole a phenomenal opportunity to get closer to the business, right? We keep saying,
Yes.
how does security tie to the business? Again, sorry for the hands. Data and identity, right? They are the fundamental constructs through which business interfaces with information, right? A marketing manager doesn't care about files on a Google share, or what they care about is, okay, are my marketing plans safe, right? This distinction is interesting because I used to cover, still cover, right? What people call zero trust network access, right? I always thought that the end should be silent. Someone doesn't want to give access to a network. They want to give access to the applications and to the business value that you get from that connectivity, right? So it's AI and data give us this opportunity to, you know what? Let's know how business works. Let's support them better.
Yes, yep. I think they definitely are business conversations, and so it's how do we understand what the business objectives are at the end of the day, and then what tools are needed to facilitate that. So, you bring up an excellent point around kind of identities and data. So it's all about understanding who the user is, what do they need to access, and why, and how do we, again, facilitate that in a seamless way for the user, without kind of getting in the way of that productivity, and I know obviously it's very much the same on the developer side of the equation. I was at a lunch for a vendor yesterday, and they gave out these little shift left little keyboard thing, which was very cute. But yeah, so it's I would say that's a very big part of the conversation. And another part of the equation is how do we get our arms around all of the different applications that our users are using at the end of the day. I had a conversation yesterday about ChatGPT, for example. How do we really get our arms around how our users are actually using ChatGPT? How do we make sure that we can lock down, what they're sharing, how they're using it in a way that allows them to do their job, but at the same time does not expose our business to more risk?
Let me ask you, so kind of heads up, because I want to end with a question of what do you think we'll be talking about at RSAC 2026? So be thinking about that in the background.
I'll okay.
So give you a little chance to think about that. Let me ask you, do you think AI is getting in the whole focus on AI, is it getting in the way of our security job? Yes, we need to secure AI, but is it defocusing us from core business around security? Is it bringing maybe more attention to security? Is it a help or is it a detractor? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. I think on one hand it is shining light on some of these very pressing security problems. I would say it's also giving us new tools to get the job done. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. But I think at the end of the day, it does have the potential to be a net positive. But it's all about how do we think about using AI to do our jobs more effectively. So for the Security Operations Center, we had a conversation yesterday around how do we use it to almost upskill our security analysts, for example, and allow a more junior security analyst to perform on a more senior level. So that's all kind of net positive, but obviously it does create a lot of noise and certainly introduce more risks.
Great.
Yeah.
On a more whimsical note, I think I'm not sure if I mentioned this yesterday. I'm Brazilian Canadian. AI is I in Portuguese, right? I is the sound you make when you get hurt.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So I've been dying to write a report. It's like I, right, as it relates to security. But to answer your question, jokes aside, I think I lean more towards the positive side, because I've been around, like we've all been around for a while. Like one of the most fascinating areas I worked in was anti-fraud, right? And we have been using machine learning in anti-fraud since the early 2000s, if not earlier, right? So when we pick up our phones and we figure out, okay, image recognition or what, that is AI, like being used for good, or being useful in a very specific context. I guess that the challenge that we have a major challenge right now, which is, on one hand, we have to help our senior business leaders navigate, understand enough AI to understand where AI fits and where it doesn't. I am absolutely okay having more narrow workflows where we can use AI to enhance the reasoning that we're doing there and so forth. I am not okay giving an AI-enabled technology a very complex problem that humans are much better suited. I forget, someone mentioned, I am not going to remember the expression they used, but someone mentioned on stage that unrelenting creativity of humans.
Yes.
With the scale and they said precision of AI, right? I don't like. I think that the precision aspect is something we can debate, but I love the expression, right? Because yes, that's what we're trying to do. Let's find the right problems where an analyst, whether they are more junior or more senior, can deploy their creativity and their insights that are difficult to code with the automated workflows, I think a lot about security operations, the enrichment, the triage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Yes, we can. So I lean very positive with caveats. We need to understand what we're stepping into.
I would both very, very insightful. I always lean on the, even when it's not a pleasant experience, or sometimes it is a pleasant experience, the disruption happens. The good thing about it is that it changes the game, all right? And that's what's happened with AI, is it brings the security topic back up, maybe elevates it, maybe pushes it in another dimension, but it doesn't have to leave everything else behind too, right? So what this future, it helps us create the future in a more proactive and engaged way versus staying on the treadmill of, defending against the latest thing and better response this and all the fundamental things we still need to do. So I think it's potentially a game changer just because of the engagement that it brings to us.
Fair point.
And
Fair point.
frankly, probably like you, it keeps me engaged. I mean, I love this stuff. I love change, and when it happens, even when I'm perplexed by it and feel like I don't get it yet, I'm going for it.
Is the word perplexed a pun on perplexity? Or?
Yes, well, ooh, I like that. I like that. So let's go to what are we going to be talking about at RSAC 2026? I'll throw out this to start with. One of the things I hope that we're talking about is we've cracked the code on generating secure software. We see products, technologies, LLMs, agents, workflows that are about not just creating more faster, but more secure, higher quality around software. Because I'm fearful that if we don't, that mountain gets bigger and bigger every second somebody touches cursor and whatever other vibe coding and coding a GitHub agents, etc. So we've got to address that. And I think the next 6 months is the opportunity for a few companies to step up and really make a real statement and plant the flag in the ground about we're solving the security problem with code. And we could make some monumental changes. And I hope that's what our conversation, I'm going to predict that's what our part of our conversation is about.
What do you think the missing link is, or the missing pieces there that we should be looking out for?
I think we're hoping AI solves it for us.
Yeah.
And we're sort of living in the land of, happy years that we'd like AI to solve it for us, but we're discovering pretty fast it won't on its own, right? And just to pick one example, Salt Security came out with a MCP security product, right? How do we protect what's happening and how MCP is used for? Small, tiny example of something, great, good, that's exactly what we need to be doing, right? We need to be doing the same thing on code, right? Because the more we expand, not just the volume, but who is all creating code, more people can be creating code that don't know security, just as we do today, but even greater. So in a way we have to, or else it becomes its own house of cards at some point, and we can secure nothing because, I don't think we'll get to that tipping point, but.
Yeah. So for me, I think one thing we haven't necessarily touched on today, but I do think it's going to be very prevalent, certainly over the next year, is just the explosion of the potential attack surface. So obviously we've talked a lot about AI, and that's only accelerating, the pace at which the threat surface is expanding. We have, customers are using more and more SaaS applications, potentially hundreds that are kind of hosted in the cloud. And so how do we do things like, really instill contextual just-in-time, access to these resources, and how do we at the same time shift to kind of a more preventative, kind of stance with our infrastructure, for example, on the data protection and recovery side. So I think those are a couple of things that I'm thinking we're going to continue to hear more about over the next year. In addition to circling back around to the AI side of things, I really hope we have conversations at RSAC conference next year.
Good one.
Good. I'm not used to it.
I am trainable. some really kind of concrete use cases around where is AI making an impact and a difference. What are maybe some of the potential pitfalls that we've fallen into, and really kind of move the needle forward in a very concrete, material way. So those are some of the things that I'll be looking out for.
All right.
I'm racking my brain here, trying to remember. I think it was a Bill Gates quote, may have been Bill Gates or not, about how slowly things move in the short term, but how much it changes in the over the longer term.
Yes.
Right? I don't remember the quote, but I'm thinking about that. I think that RSAC conference, right? See, I got it. 2026. I think that we're not going to be seeing too much of a difference from what we've been discussing now, if for nothing else, because as we all know, enterprise buyers, they have lots of hoops to jump through, right? So any new technology that may have come up on the floor this week, right? It's going to take a few months to get the POCs going, right? And after the POC is going, the procurement's going to take a while, right? And then deployment might take a while, and then we'll still be seeing the early lessons, right? So I in that sense, I think it's going to be relatively similar, but I think that we are going to be talking a little bit more around what has been the actual experience with agentic capabilities across the board, right? So perhaps we will be discussing finer points of AI governance in the context of agentic workloads. Perhaps the discussion on identity is going to be more significant. Perhaps the discussion of how do we contain what may have happened in the latter part of 25 in terms of some significant AI-related incident, right? So I think but we are evolving towards that, but I think that the actual change year to year is not going to be that great. I love your sentiment about us solving secure coding. I want to be a realist. I'm an optimistic realist, right?
You're pragmatist.
I think we'll be discussing similar things, right?
So I think that maybe a flavor in what we're all saying, especially the two of you, is a more in-depth, informed, contextualized conversation about what we're doing.
Yes.
Take where we are today, the depth of what that conversation will be much deeper.
Good. And one of the other things we'll be navigating is what technology and cyber are intertwined with geopolitics, and so I think that we're still waiting to see what the consequences are going to be of recent administration moves, of geopolitical events, and so on. So I think that we may see. We'll still be discussing this, and I think we were talking about this yesterday. You made a great point about RSAC as a venue for having those kinds of conversations. So if there's one thing I hope for is that we continue to be that venue, right? And we continue to have that conversation between the right stakeholders, public policy, private industry, and so on.
Well, then be the change you want to make, right?
Something along those lines.
Something like that. So I want, before we wrap up, I want you to talk about the data set that you just launched, survey data. And just for our listeners, Futurum offers a service called Futurum Intelligence, which is instead of just issuing reports, and we do a lot of that kind of thing, and our surveys and things, we actually have a massive database where we keep all of this across all of our practices and successions of generations of data, and really building up a nice reservoir, if you will, data lake, data whatever, of information that subscribers to that have access to, as well as kind of more in-depth reports. And in each of our areas release updates to that data set. Sometimes it's more data updated, sometimes it's expanding and adjusting the scope of that. I just released the DevOps and application development data set about a month and a half, 2 months ago. You all are just on the cusp of releasing the cybersecurity. Talk about your kind of respective collection of what's in that information.
Yes, yeah. So, to your point, Mitch, it's survey work on decision maker buying criteria within cybersecurity.
Yeah.
We cover the gamut. So we cover application, security, cloud, data,
All of them.
endpoint,
Yeah.
security operations center. We have 7 technology categories. And then on the other side of that kind of coin is the market sizing and forecasting data. And what I really love about the research is that it really keeps us grounded in the voice of the customer and the practitioner. That's something that I think is very important with the work that we do, and really as an industry as a whole, when we start to make decisions around product development and things of that nature. So we're really excited to launch it. Yeah, Fernando.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I say I'm not a data science, nor do I play one on TV, but I love data. One of the birthday presents I got a few years ago, it's very simple. My kids gave it to me. It's a little plaque that says, "I have a spreadsheet for that." Right? So I'm sorry. So I was geeking out.
I can confirm he does.
Yeah. She saw the.
I
She saw
can
the.
Yeah, that's why we're both laughing. Like, that is so true.
Right, and I think that the happiest I am with the application that I have open would be something like Jupyter Notebooks, for example. So I love the data that we have. So we like Krista said, we have a market sizing data, and we have a decision maker data, and I think the decision maker was about 91, 92 questions, something like that.
Yeah.
And across multiple areas, so not just on application security and cloud and whatnot, but also how are organizations behaving? How often does the security team interact with the board and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So one of the data points that's freshest on my mind is we ask people, what are they concerned about? If you ask them to rank their number one thing, it would be ransomware and data breaches. Fine, right? If on aggregate, when you add choice 1 plus choice 2, like top 1, top 2, top 3, and then you add the total, the one that pops up the most would be cloud incidents, right? So it speaks to the variety of issues that security practitioners are dealing with, and it gives us insight. And like Krista said, it keeps us grounded, right? Yeah. Sometimes one of the curses of working as analysts is that sometimes we get too far ahead. Like, no, we're not in an ivory tower. We are here to help our buyers, our sellers, the people who work with us on navigating this. So the data set is those two data sets, like the market sizing and the decision maker, are helpful, very helpful towards that.
It keeps us in the clear air,
yes.
So we're not breathing our own exhaust, right?
Yes, yes.
If you will.
Yes.
And I'll have to find out the number, but it may be hundreds of thousands of data points across all of our practice areas collectively.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it's got to be a phenomenal number, the amount of information, and we have the tools to slice and dice. And, by the way, every meeting starts out with Fernando, the first 5 minutes. Within the first 5 minutes is, I want to show you a spreadsheet for that. So.
Oh no, yeah,
Am I right?
Maybe just at the time. Sometimes we take a few minutes. Sometimes not 5 minutes because we were making that.
It depends on how patient, how much you can hold back for the moment.
Yeah.
Well, Krista.
The only other thing I might add
is
just kind of to your point, Mitch, around all the data points across our different practice areas. So relevant to the conversation around security because it crops up not just in our dedicated research on cybersecurity, but in our other research areas as well. For example, our CIO research we published earlier this year. It was a top initiative and top concern for CIOs.
Yeah, and we had we did some research on agentic AI technology overall, right? And a phenomenal paper. And in that, the area of governance, and where this was most closely aligned, was key priority and whatnot. So the agentic AI paper was done. The paper around the CEO insights about AI overall, trust and governance come up as well. So so cybersecurity is everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's cool about AI, cyber, software, is they
Yep.
touch every domain, whether
100%.
it's hardware and laptops and AI PCs to cloud services and applications, data, all of it. So,
Never. The tagline I like to use is "Never a dull day in this industry."
yeah, there isn't. Fernando, it's been good to be in person with you for the first time at this show.
Absolutely.
We've
No,
talked so many times over Zoom. And
So one of the things, one of the predictions for RSAC Conference 2026 is we're going to have a fabulous time having this again.
that's
Yes.
right. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed this. We're trying to give folks a window into what we're thinking about and
100%.
seeing, and then we don't have to write everything.
Yes.
We can say a little
Yeah.
bit about video. Krista has been fabulous. I've always enjoyed
you.
getting together. We've had an opportunity to be at some
Yes.
conferences together
Yes.
and look forward to that as well.
Yes.
So
Thank you so much, Mitch and
Yeah.
Fernando, both of you. It's always a pleasure.
you bet.
And safe travels, everybody.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the not ships but airplanes
Yes.
conversation.
Yes. Yes.
So check out futurumgroup.com, which is there's an analyst section where we have all of our research. If you're a subscription customer, you can go to the application portal, the Futurum Intelligence, get access to even
Yep.
the deeper data, and of course contact us. And we're always happy to talk with folks about the work we're doing, but more importantly, the work they're doing
Absolutely,
and
100%.
what's happening in
Yes,
their world.
yes.
So you can reach out to us. Thanks everybody on behalf of Krista, Fernando, and myself, Mitch Ashley, here with the Futurum Group. We hope you'll tune in. We'll find some more ways to do this kind of conversation with each other and do it in a way that you can be part of it too. So thanks for joining us at RSA. Stay tuned. There's more live stream content coming up we've got folks lined up to do some interviews and looking forward to that. But as we leave the scene, it's great to be with you and part of this together. So take care, everybody.